rage trade just yet. Sit down and strap in for the ultimate Supercoach podcast. It's time to win your leagues and dominate your mates. This is the Dual Position Podcast, hosted by Whisperer and Adrianasaurus.
Well, after a few technical difficulties last week, we have opted to ditch the live stream, go back to our roots, and just do the pre-record. See how that works. We're still trying to have it up by 7:30 Tuesday night. Audio listeners, no issues for you guys last week. But there were a few issues for my Supercoach team and yours, Ado, as well. I tried to be a genius and bench Cody and AJ in the wet. That went well, considering I was going to replace them with Reed Marty and Billy Smith, who was laid out, who became Jack Granville. So we lost about 80 points on the field there. Not ideal, but overall, mate, how was your week?
Yeah, I mean, I was, as it happens sometimes in Supercoach, I was sitting there early, sort of couple of days into the round going, I could be on for a nice one here, looking at projections and looking at sort of where I came from. And I obviously had Nico as a straight C. Then Drinkwater came on and that sort of leveled it back. And I just watched myself get rolled by someone in a head-to-head who had Ponga. So I think some of those big scorers in this round actually brought the field back much closer together. And I was like, well, I'm either just par or I feel like I'm under because I only won 3 out of 10 head-to-head. So, yeah, it was a round where it sucked to not own some of these guys who, they've tempted you the year and I just haven't had a chance or haven't got them. So, yeah, it stung a little bit and I felt like it was green arrows for a while, but then it ended up being a couple of reds. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll get onto our scores, but you nearly got 1,400. I was very close as well, and we both sort of went down. So it showed you just how big the week was. I think the top score was like 1,850 or something. Absolutely mental stuff. But there was a few fallouts from around the league, so let's touch into those. With Origin teams being named, there was a few omissions, Payne Haas being one of them. It's being reported that he has a small hamstring complaint / ankle complaint. Brad Fittler was saying that he picked it up in game 1. Other people are saying that he picked it up in the loss on the weekend. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's anything major. I think Haas will play in round 20, and he will be a great addition to having your sides for the run home. Friend of the show, Scott Drinkwater, has a quad issue. Looks like that's fine. Has been named to be 18th man for New South Wales, but was pulled off just as a precautionary. Think he should be fine. Braden Hamlin-Ueli, ribs. It's either a fracture it's either rib cartilage or broken ribs. Nothing confirmed yet, but he will be out for a few weeks regardless. Campbell Graham is still battling with his sternum issue, but should be back in round 20, as will Latrell Mitchell. Jeremy Marshall-King, Ado, it was originally reported that he was out for the season. Wayne Bennett was very
Bennett was doing the old sad sack.
Yeah, he got me throbbing for Cody Nikorima, which we'll touch on today. But look, he's got the AT issue. No idea on severity, but it looks like he is in major doubt for this week, despite being named. So definitely play it by ear. So yeah, they were the sort of major things around the league. In terms of some Teamless Tuesday news,
not to mention Brad Fittler fucking up our Supercoach team.
Oh yes, he very much
honestly,
hates Supercoach.
What's the go with that team? And also, isn't that Supercoach? Like every time you think you planned well, and because imagine if you thought you'll go on a pod, you grab Bradford Best, and he had a huge game last week, and you leave. I mean, there's things that just came and absolutely, of course, there can never be an easy round of Supercoach, can there? Because I thought I'd had myself set up, and some people have, I've got Gutho, I've got Cody, so it's a bit of a carnage and surprise and Supercoach.
Yeah. Freddie 100% hates Supercoach. I mean,
what a loser. Off
the top of our heads, Gutho. Then you've got Drinkwater. Drinkwater's on a bye, so it doesn't really matter. But so Gutho, Cody Walker, Keon Kolomatangi, they're probably 3 mainstays. We've sort of known about Corey Horsburgh for a couple of days. I mean, when Flegler had the injury issue, everyone sort of pointed towards Horsburgh, so he wasn't too much of a shock. But definitely, I think I said this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, that I was very, very skeptical of buying Keon Kolomatangi just because of the Origin issues. And since since we spoke about that, he went 52, 57, and now he'll go 0-0. So he's going to score you 109 points in 4 weeks, which, not great for people that did pick him up that popular week 2 weeks ago. As for Gutho, yeah, I mean, he has been probably one of the best Supercoach options in the past month or so, as you know, with Scott Drinkwater. So to see him out in a crucial buy round is terrible. I mean, Mitch Moses obviously not
and
being
even Para,
not being
like
picked,
owning your commodities from Para goes way down when you lose a Gutho and a Moses. So.
Yeah, it was revealed a couple of days ago that the suspension for Dylan Brown is going to be 7 games. Now, he's already served 3 of them, so I think he'll be back in round 22, or probably actually round 23 he'll be back. There's a couple of questions on him as well in today's episode, but plenty to dive into. But straight away, we've got the things that we learned from the week gone by, and I haven't done a sound test, but I just want to put this out in the open. So, to Scott Drinkwater, and to all Scott Drinkwater owners, I just want to come on here and apologise. I want to apologise for the bad things I said about him and all of you owners out there. I was very much on cloud 9 after the first 10 rounds when he averaged a measly 52 points, which included a 2-try performance against the Raiders for under 60 points, which also included a 70-minute performance for 3 points in round 2. But it all went downhill. So I am here to take my licks, to take my lashes. Scott Drinkwater is in fact not a trap. And I just want to put that on the record that I am very sorry to him and all owners for these very harsh comments that I made early in February. I was very misguided. Very
a different man.
I'm a changed man. I am not a Scott Drinkwater owner. I will refuse to pay $950K for a bloke that I lambasted. But just on principle. But anyway.
I mean, he's actually done the questions that we did have on him, and we were even there sort of for half of the year, but I think it coincides with the Cowboys hitting their gears this year as a premiership contender, is they've given him a license. They've said it's got to come off you, bloke. And it's Drinkwater had all that talent in the world, but he was just in and out of games, wasn't he? And but now he's just the guy with his hands on the ball. And actually, I didn't poo-poo him nearly as much as you. I was saying he's definitely got the Supercoach friendly game in him. He just has these low ones as well. I love the high ones. I'd love to see some big daddy high ones, and now he's doing it. He's just one of those ones that he always has appeal. He definitely has always got appeal. That he's had his knockers, and I think that what we were knocking for seems to have gone.
Yeah, I mean, obviously taking the piss aside, my biggest worries with him were that floor, and it was the reason why I guess I never jumped on Reece Walsh as well. Like similar play, actually probably very similar in Supercoach. I mean, without as dominant as halves as the Cowboys, so obviously the Broncos have Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds. The Cowboys don't have as dominant halves in Dearden and Townsend. So Drinky's probably not going to. He's probably going to have a bigger ceiling. We saw that on the weekend. I mean, he had 5 try assists. He's running games electric. I mean, he's been rewarded with Origin and fair play to him. But we often forget that he was the heir to the throne after Billy Slater. But it was the injuries, it was the off-field behaviour that sort of made him surplus to requirement. And yeah, so it just shows you when you're beating out guys like Pappenhausen for the jersey, it shows you just how much. And Jerome Hughes at the time as well.
Attack. We've seen him over the years, glimpses of it, and you just because even when you're not a fan and you're like. Even you and I were like, oh, don't buy Drinkwater. You're hoping that he's going to have mild games so that proves you're right. But watching him do some things on the field, you're just like, wow, that's some rugby league I love to see. So he's a special talent.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, what's the difference about David Fafita this year? He's motivated. He's got a good half giving him the ball. We always said he should get. There's a light switch that's gone off there for Drinkwater, and he's always had this, I reckon, there. And hopefully he just keeps doing it in his career because he could be one hell of a player if he's not already.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you have to separate Supercoach from NRL sometimes, and I love watching the bloke play. He's absolutely electric. He's definitely making me eat my words. Like I said, it's very interesting. It's a tale of two halves for him because we all bought Cowboys assets. We bought Drinkwater. We bought Nanai. We bought Valentine Holmes for the first 10 rounds because their draw was golden and Drinkwater only averaged 52 points across the first 10 rounds when they had this golden stretch, and everyone was looking to sell Cowboys assets because of their run from sort of rounds 11 to 20. But Drinkwater, he's defied the odds. He's done it against bad teams. He's done it against good teams. Well done to everyone that got on. And for everyone that doesn't own, that is throwing sticks, yeah, maybe check yourself.
Look, it's just like Talakai last year. There's a lot of people who it was such an awful experience owning Talakai last year, buying him high, getting those scores, not being able to move him on. But the people who got him cheap, made all the money, sold him high, missed all the end
That's
bits.
the funny thing. Like, I
love
reading. So, like, you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, you go on Instagram, you look at all the forums. I love reading Talakai because I'm in the opposite camp. I bought the week before Morgan Harper. I sold before he went down. So I've got only good memories of Talakai. That may be.
So if you'd owned Scott Drinkwater all year, it is a story of you're like,
100%,
well, it's about bloody time. Now I'm loving it, but I wasn't at the start of the year, and that's why I'm in 12,000th or whatever. But if you got him after the Cowboys started to warm up and he started doing all of this stuff, you got him on the right trajectory, and now he's too expensive. And that's a really great piece to have in Supercoach, is now he's been going so great that he's a great commodity to have that other people can't get.
Yeah, 100%. And as we said last week, I mean, I'm all for people like Drinkwater, like Ponga, that are exploding, because it makes the most boring, halfback's most boring position. It makes the second most boring position in Supercoach actually fun, because when we get to February next year, we're going to be talking about, 8 or 9 different options rather than just the traditional 3. So definitely, plenty to talk about. But let's move from one Origin hopeful to someone that's ruled themselves out. Both fullbacks on different sides of the border. The other one is Kalen Ponga. Man, talk about tale of two seasons. Talk about tale of two halves. For KP, he's been sensational as well. I mean, ever since moving back to fullback. Look, in hindsight, it's the obvious move, but him at fullback is just so unreal. He's great. He's goal kicking again. The Knights look good, and it's all thanks to KP. I think Jackson Hastings has been a really, really big addition. I think he's giving them really good ball. It's helped the likes of Bradman Best. Dane Gaggai's played some really good club footy as well. But Ponga is the man that is, really reaping the rewards, and to see him.
I think all those years ago when Ponga was in fullback and they started saying, well, we need him more, we got to get him up there with his hands on the ball more. I think with the two halves that they got, Hastings and who's the annoying one, they got those two guys in there, which, that allows Ponga to play Ponga at his best. You never had that. He's got these two, they're not shrinking violets. They're happy to organize things. He doesn't have to put too much on his shoulders and just come in and be sublime. And he does that better than most in the league. So I'm really happy to see him going well. I would have taken myself out of retirement and just go on and grab that Origin jersey if I were him. But at least he stuck to his guns. And then, like you said, the Knights are on the improve.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Next point is just Freddie hates Supercoach. We already touched on this, but yeah, it shows you that, mate, I sat back in round 12. I had a day off work. I sat there for about 6 hours and did a full spreadsheet about planning for this bye period. But yeah, you can't plan for weird coaching decisions. So Freddie hating Supercoach has really stuffed a lot of people up. I feel like if you've got 13 players this week, then fuck, you're on a winner. Because before trades, I've got 8 or 9. I'm up shit creek.
Yeah, I mean, look, that bench for the New South Wales. I mean,
so you've got a backup hooker and a fucking fullback. Like, you've got 2 utilities, man.
I reckon that bench looks better if you bring Liu up for mine, and I don't know if they're going to punt the 2 hooker, because they're both 80-minute hookers. So I just don't know. If you're going to be radical, just realise that you're not Queensland and you don't need the 2 hookers. When you had Happy, I thought you did, but when you've got these 2 80-minute hookers, you don't need both of them. So I don't know. Is there a world where Gutho could drop out and they bring Liu in, and just go with Robson as their sort of utility?
Yeah, it definitely could be. I think Lenu does offer something in Origin that New South Wales do lack, and I think his time will come, whether it be in a Panthers jersey or a Roosters jersey.
I want Gutho back. I'm not happy about that.
I understand. Like, I know Gutho didn't play great in the time that he was given, but he was also played at centre. I think Gutho is like the epitome. I think every team in the NRL would want Gutho in their side, because he's a bloke that you would hate to play against but love to play for. And I think he actually is like, as a Queenslander, I don't care. The series is wrapped up. But I think Gutho actually like represents a lot about like the Origin spirit, whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
he's a trier. And the other thing too is he actually has probably more utility value than Nico. I think he plays like wing and centre better than what Nico could do.
Yeah, he could do a job at 6 if you need him to. Yeah.
You can even at a stretch get Gutho to go in and dart from dummy half and stuff. I just think he is a good utility, I think, for Origin. Anywhere 1 to 7, and even at a stretch, chuck him in the 9.
Which then makes me question the Robson selection. I know people might laugh at me, but like, fuck, Cam McInnes is just like made for Origin, isn't he?
Yeah, I kind of feel like now, like everyone poo-poos Talakai, but if you've got someone who can play anywhere in the back row, you can even put him in the front row, or you can put him in the centers.
Talakai could be a good utility.
If you got a guy, and that's why Capewell always worked back in the day, for Queensland. I just reckon you got a reserve 9 there, and they're saying, oh, you can play him in the middle as a running. Well, don't do that. Pick someone in there who, if you get an injury in your back line, you can put him in there. Or you can put them in the forward pack if you need to. I just think that's the style that you got to have now for New South Wales. Anyway, I just think it's a waste having the two 80-minute hookers on there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think like Ben Hunt for Queensland can cover 13. He can cover. I mean, we saw him play at centre for a good 10 minutes. He was okay there. He can play 7. He can play 9. He can play a bit of 13. But off the Origin chat, the series is wrapped up. We saw some absolute stinking performances from 3 teams. In general, we saw the Dragons give up 52. We saw the Tigers give up 74. And then we saw the Bulldogs give up 66. And no disrespect to the Knights, but the Knights are no powerhouse. So for them to give up 66 is a worry. But for Supercoaches, it's only good and positive things. You've got to load up on anyone playing these 3 teams, surely.
Yeah, well, that's right. The Sione Katoa might not have worked for you.
Mate.
But even though there was
I hung my hat on that so much. I was so confident on Sione Katoa.
Going to turn the corner. But they scored enough points that you could. I mean, how the hell does this bloke not come over for a try or two? I actually won 5K last week. I saw.
You had a good weekend.
I was just putting up winning bets left, right, and center because there were just so many points. But I had Sione Katoa at a couple. I was like, he was the only bloke on there that didn't score one, did he? So maybe this week because
double down. Just keep doubling down.
Double down.
I made a
if you're getting rid of a Billy Smith and you got that kind of money, have a flutter.
I made a post on Twitter. I made a tweet on last Friday. The Sharks' right edge and winger were going up against the worst left side defense in the NRL. They played for a team that scored 52 points, and yet Ramian and Katoa both went at a combined 0.4 ppm in a team that scored 52 points. Absolutely ridiculous. Nikora got 100. Talakai and Ronaldo both killed it. It just felt like Kennedy just did not want the ball to go out to the left-hand side, to the right-hand side, at all.
No, and that's the thing too. Sometimes it is a lottery. I mean, you feel pretty confident, South, even not so much this year, but on the left it's a fruitful, endeavor out there. Or if you're like a winger that's getting those passes from, Turbo or Ponga. But they're not getting back over to there, and he's having a real dusty old season. He's way behind on the try scoring as well. So, that's it. It could just be one of those things you do, and you're like, oh, that was definitely a wasted trade. Maybe you don't do Billy Smith to him because it could just be a real big waste of a trade if it didn't work out.
How much did that round 14 performance by David Fifita really throw a lot of Supercoaches in the mud? We saw him back up from Origin and get sub 20. And a lot of people sold, including myself, but then to watch him just kill it again, backing up or not backing up, he has been unreal all year. That's the only blip on his resume. Origin backing up hasn't affected him whatsoever. This whole Justin Holbrook stuff hasn't affected him whatsoever. He's a guy that you need for the run home. I know a lot of teams are close to being set, but if you don't have Fifita, you probably need to move heaven and earth to get to him. Last week was a perfect time for him to have a poor game because he had a 160 break even, but he still scored 100 plus. Only lost minimal cash, and he'll come into round 20 with a 42 break even.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of an uncomfortable one, because a lot of us have enough money to do these 600s or mid 600s.
But yeah, he's 850.
You've got to find some for a 900. It's hard. It's harder. So, but you do want him. You got to have him.
But it does make it easier, Ado, because I do believe at this point of the year, this isn't time for cash cows. I know some people are looking at Munro from the Rabbitohs. I would like Munro if he was out of the team next week. I'd like picking him up this week if we knew he wasn't going to get back in. But he played good. I'm not too sure if he will lose his spot. I think now's the time for nuffs, not cash cows. You want to be... So, for example, with my team, I'm going to have 21 really good playable options. That means I'm going to be able to bench 3 good guys every week. And I think that's what you want, to be able to nuff out people, because you don't want to have these AE nightmares as the season progresses. And remember that next week is the last week of the sort of weird buy coverage, where after round 21, so from 21 onwards, we're only going to have one team on the buy each week. So I think now is the time for nuffs, not for cash cows.
Yeah, I'm not making money now. It's all just points for me. And so, Yeah, look, when it comes to nuffs, it's particularly like these rounds, it throws a spanners. You can't go crazy on them. But right now, like if that's a chance this week or an Isaka or one of the people that could score well in this round, and you need to find that extra couple 100K, don't grab yourself a plotter. Try to see if you get him up to a premium price. Go a nuff or two now and get those big pieces, the premium pieces.
Or just build a war chest now. Like have 300-400K in the bank, so for when Fafita comes back next week, you can move a mid-range guy onto Fafita. And the last point, controversially, Souths only play 66% of the remaining games this year, Ado. They're going to have a bye in 19. Or sorry, not a bye. But when I say Souths, I mean like the good assets, Cody Walker, Cole Matangi, Latrell Mitchell, etc. They're not going to play this week. They're not going to play in round 20. And they're not going to play in round 26, which is your head-to-head grand finals. Is now the time to cut ties with Cody, with AJ, with not obviously Latrell, but Keon Cole Matangi or even a Campbell Graham?
Yeah, I think you've got to probably start looking at getting your pieces away. You know, like I was like, this week, I wasn't planning on moving Cody really terribly fast until he got picked in Origin. Now I'm like, okay, I was planning on moving him because I didn't want him for a big piece of his money value for head-to-head finals. And now you've got 2 rounds and head-to-head finals. You could move him on. And Campbell Graham's got like injury concerns. Maybe you could hold a Kaloa Matangi if you've got good depth in your second row. But yeah, in the 5'8" position for what Cody's worth, I could see other picks that you pick now outscoring him now to the end when you look at total games they're going to play.
Heading into buy, hold, and sell. It's getting tougher and tougher to do these. I generally write the notes at work when it's quiet. But buy, hold, and sells the last couple of weeks have been rough. I don't really have anyone stand out buy. I mean, you probably want to be looking at your squad overall and working out who you're missing. So, I mean, the ones that really stand out this week are probably a Sharks outside back, whether it do be Ronaldo or Talakai or Ramian, because their run home is really good, as is Osaka.
If you don't own a Nick Ora,
definitely.
He could be one that you like to carry all the way to the end.
Definitely. But Osako probably is the main standout. If you haven't jumped on him all year, like myself, I think now is the perfect time to grab him. Probably one of the only genuine guns that does play this week that isn't named Nico Hines or Joe Tarpany. So I think Osako is a guy to buy if you don't have Joe Tarpany. I think he's a guy that you need to get in as well. But sort of any Sharks outside backs, they're the ones
for you. Chance, because I was probably off Chance because I heard rumours that Sean Johnson, he's probably still in doubt as well, I guess. But if Sean Johnson plays, do you reckon if you didn't own a Chance, you'd grab him, or do you think you'd grab an Isako?
Yeah, so I'm in this dilemma where I'm sort of looking at Cody Nikorima, which is 611K, and I was looking at him on the basis that JMK was out for close to the season. Now I'm a little bit unsure. I do have the flexibility to move Manu back up and potentially pick Chance up. I don't know how much he is. I would have to look at it. But, yeah, I mean, I think if SJ plays, Chance is definitely a guy to look at. But SJ, for anyone that's not in the loop, his missus is very close to giving birth, and apparently SJ won't travel with the team. So he is very much in doubt, so definitely play that one by ear. In terms of holds, I mean, now everyone's teams are so different. Holds are, I guess, you buy your origin players that you're planning on keeping moving forward.
Well, that's what I'm on the Gutho. He, like I said, there wasn't a lot of options you can go in there, but we've got some versatile players like your Garricks and stuff you can move down there. You reckon you sell Gutho now?
I think the only way...
This week would have been the week where he did his most valuable thing, being here for your set.
100%. I think the thing with
guys for the three buys.
I think the thing with Gutho is I don't expect many people to have trades come around 27. So Parramatta have the buy in round 27. So if you can sell some Parramatta assets now while you still have trades, that could be handy. That's why I'm not keen on buying a Dylan Brown or a Will Penasini or a Sean Lane who's back into the squad this week, because I just worry that come round 25, 26, I'm going to have no trades, which is fine. I've planned for having no trades. But then I'm going to be forced to be playing 15 good players and 2 shit ones in round 27 when the coaches rest half their stars. So that's something I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind with Gutho as well, and picking up any further Parramatta assets. But some guys I've got to sell. I mean, Jareem Buller, I was very big on selling him a couple of weeks ago, and his performances have sort of warranted that. He's still 650k. There is still time to move off from him before you lose everything. His break-even is monster this week. I understand he's a number in a limited buy round. But do you want to be keeping him for the season, or do you want to be selling him now for 650 and not next week when he's say
Yeah, that's
560?
right. The points this week that you're going to get for him might feel like that's your most pressing need, but because he's a piece you don't want to hold all year long, you got to think about how much will he lose money wise. But people have probably seen what he can do, and probably will rule in the favor of, well, I'll take a little bit of a financial hit because I think he could be a good scorer in this round, which potentially could be.
It's a sliding doors moment.
I'd sell him.
William Warbrick, another guy who I sold about 10 weeks ago, but fuck, he's come on leaps and bounds in the last 6 weeks, and he's made owners.
Heard that you sold him.
Yeah.
He's becoming an absolute weapon.
He's made a fair bit of cash. I think now's the time to sell high on him. Perfect time. Storm don't play this week, and he's also nearly 600k, so he's a great sell. As is Billy Smith. Now, I'm not ever getting sucked into the Billy Smith trap again. I've done it 3 fucking times now. He's a certified bust in Supercoach. Roosters suck. No ball. He's still very error prone. Great talented footy player. Roosters have high ups for him, but I'm not getting sucked into the Billy Smith trap again. Ryan Hall. If you remember Ryan Hall from the Roosters, right winger from a couple of years ago, he burnt me, and now Billy Smith has burnt me. I am going to happily move him on. We've made a little bit of money, but nothing major. He's just sort of annoying now.
Yeah, there's some of these Supercoach ones where you just kind of, you owned them before and you just kind of, they hurt you so much that you were like, I can't put myself through it again. And he's got me a couple of times, I must admit.
Yeah. Man, captain choices this week are they're grim. Nico Hines is the world's easiest VC. We're not going to dispute that. He's getting the orange armband in most people's size, and I think if he scores anything north of 75, most people are going to be taking that. But that's sort of kind of it. I mean, the only other ones are Hopgood for a captaincy, Tarpany, Adam Fanua-Blake, and then maybe Chance if SJ plays. But apart from that,
I don't hate a Nazako or a Cody, like that. I think in that matchup there with Fafita and Tino out, Dolphins are pretty much full strength, aren't they?
Yeah, apart from if JMK plays, yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts? Obviously, as a Raiders man, you got a hard on a couple of months ago for David Fafita and was quickly put out. But now the news is that Tino and Fafita are both free agents with the clause if Holbrook was sacked, they'd become free agents. And Ricky's gone big. I've never seen Ricky Stewart come out this much and just openly admit that he wants a player. Yeah. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on Fifi?
He loves him. He loves him. Yeah, look, I mean, I think for the Raiders, we need something. Johnny Bateman was perfect for us because we had this X-factor person. Ricky loves his second rowers that sort of change the game type ones. The other thing is, there's $1 million a season. Look, that's pretty much what Jack was on, and I don't know if we're going to find anyone good to replace him in the halves. He's going to just put Sebastian Chris there, I bet you. But look, I'll take David Fafita. I just would love to have him there in the lime green, running out and running over the top of blokes. And I reckon our halves will be like, just give it to Dave.
I assume that he'll be on the right because you're not probably moving Hudson from the left, which then poses the question if it does happen. Are his stocks back low? Because we saw how sort of low his stocks were on the right-hand side at the end of last year.
I think Hudson can play either. He'll play either.
It's something that I think we would definitely have to wait for some news in the preseason.
I don't think he's going to go. I think he's going to stay at the
You
Titans.
reckon?
Yeah.
I hope not. I hope. I don't know.
I'd love to have him.
It would be interesting. But yeah, in terms of captaincy, yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. Nico VC, anything over 75, I'm going to be looping. But yeah, Hopgood, Tarpany, AFB, Asako, they're probably all the the other captaincy choices.
Names, yeah.
Let's move into our recap from the week gone by. As I said earlier in the show, I scored 1375 and you scored 1384. On standalone, like those numbers are good, but man, I got a top 18% score. I would imagine yours wouldn't be overly much more, maybe top 17, but I lost rank. I'm down to 944 and you're down to 7884. So we've both sort of lost ground in a week where
I was winning 7 out of 10, like into that last game, and I just saw myself just get run down by these other people who got, a big monster. That one extra monster.
Marzu, KP. If you had the Marzu KP combo, or you had, the drink water, even a Val, like these guys, like these combos obviously shot you through the roof.
Yeah, well, that's right. So some people, I was on for a good round, and then other people sort of struck it rich with some of their other players getting a big daddy 100. And yeah, it was annoying because I got a good couple of rank jumps last week. But look, I I don't know. I don't even know if it's going to be a top 1,000 for me. I'm just going to have some strong weeks where I win a couple of hundred points ahead, of the norm.
Yeah. So just looking at trades this week, I can't bring in Chance because he's nearly 800k, which is absurd. So I'm very much hedging my bets on Cody Nikorima, and I don't know if I love that. So I mean, I'm ideally looking at trading at Cody Walker, Clint Gutherson, and Billy Smith in favor of Cody Nikorima, Jermaine Asako, and Sifa Talakai. Now I'm pretty set on the Asako and move. Cody Nikorima was really appealing if he was going to play hooker. But obviously with Hammer there, I mean, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with Cody. I'm trying to get some intel. But like this AC joints are weird because they're not a performance thing, it's a pain tolerance thing. And Wayne Bennett coming out and playing the sob story last week that J&K could be done for the season may have got me a little bit too hot and heavy, but it's a bit risky for me just because with the Dolphins and how their form sort of has been, and I thought it was a strange move. Hammer has been like, if you talk about the Dolphins and what's been their thing this year, it's been the form of Hammer. And as much of the other things that they've done, you're like, their team's got this electric player that the whole league wants to watch, So and he is competent in center, but I don't reckon that was the answer that you needed to find. Sorry, Wayne, I know better than you, don't I? But I don't know what's going to happen with Cody Nikorima. I don't know if I had more trades, I'd probably take the punt. But like if I make 5 trades, if I make 3 trades this week, I've only got 5 left for the season, and I'm like, fuck, do I want to spend 5? Do I want to spend 2 trades?
Grab yourself Chance. Grab
I
a
don't
Chance,
have the money for Chance.
Grab an Azarko, and instead of Talakai, get Sione Katoa, or do you already have him?
No, I don't have him. But like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like that Sharks edge is so elite. And when I was doing my planning back in round 12, like Talakai was a guy I always wanted for the Sharks run home. And
I've been able to look at his numbers, and his base is really good. Like why we liked owning Talakai, And I reckon the Sharks are starting to warm up, get closer to being a premiership sort of contender this year. And I don't know if they're going to beat some of these teams above them, but they're looking pretty bloody good. They're one of those teams that in attack, they look so slick and fast, faster than other teams. You look at the Raiders, it looks like they've not trained in attack at all year. They're just slow. It's all slow and muddled. But yeah, they look slick when they're on the Sharks. So I think the end of the year is going to be good for Talakai, and he's already solid enough that he's not going to get. You're not going to have a game from where you're like, you piece of shit, you fuck me. So yeah, I like him as a pick, and I've been looking at him as well because I was like, well, if Sean Johnson doesn't play, I don't want Chance. Maybe I grab myself an Azarko and a Talakai. So
I could go a Wilton. Like instead of trading out Billy Smith, I could trade out Granville and go a Wilton. But then that means I would be having Wilton, Talakai, and Ronaldo. So I'm having that entire left edge. Will have
to be up Cronulla.
But yeah, Cody Nikorima, something that really excites me. If I know what his situation's going to be like, I'm going to message a few.
He's like Billy Smith, mate. People have owned Cody Nikorima, and he has gone and risold them hard.
He's 600.
Yeah, I think he's risold me once or twice.
He's 600k, which is mental. But like, it sounds funny. Like if we said on this podcast 8 weeks ago, oh, I've got 600k to spend. Fuck, the world's your oyster. But now it's like the good guy's like 800, and there's sort of just shit underneath.
Grab Moylan.
Matt Moylan. I'll get Moylan, Talakai, and Wilton, and I'll just have the entire Sharks left hand side.
The entire Sharks team.
But yeah, definitely, I'm going to be waiting. I'll play around with my app maybe tomorrow or Thursday because I really do want Asako. I really do want Talakai, but I can't do it without selling. I think I've got to sell Gutho to do it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to look at if I could have done it in a trade where I held Gutho, for instance, and I sell Cody and Billy Smith with my little bit of extra cash to 2 good players that I can add in for the round. Azarko was the one I wanted, but I was willing to go with Sione Katoa. I was looking at Chance if I do sell Cody and Gutho, but I would have sold less, selling a piece and a half in a Cody and a Billy Smith was more preferable to me, but I might have to sell both of those guys if I want to get a Chance and a Cody for this week. I don't know if I'll make a third trade, but if I do, I'd have a little flutter on Sione Katoa because I do like the Sharks, and I would probably be getting a Chance and an Izako and treat myself to some Sharks commodity.
Sorry to cut you off. Tom Trbojevic has to be the most unluckiest football player in the world. NRL Physios just tweeted, Tom Trbojevic is back in hospital after developing post-operative infection in his pec repair. Apparently, this is 1 to 2% likely of happening. Tom Trbojevic has to be the most unluckiest bloke to ever put a pair of footy boots on in his life.
Yeah, well, that's it. Somebody has got some voodoo out on Tom Trbojevic. Someone hates him. Like, Tom Trbojevic must have like been walking past and these girlfriends like gone gaga over him.
He's walked under a ladder. He's killed a black cat. I don't know what he's done. But what are you doing for trades this week, my friend?
Yeah, look, I'm going to probably sell Cody now with losing those next 2 games, and South's commodities do have to be offloaded if you want to win your head-to-head cashies and stuff. So I'm just going to move him now. I would have held him for a little bit longer, but he's going to go. Whether I bring Manu up and I grab 2 centers is debatable. I don't think I'd go a Cody Nikorima, so I probably will bring Manu up to the 5'8", and I'll definitely grab Isako. If I sell Gutho, it could be a Chance or it could be a Talakai for me. I like the both of them, and it all hinges on SJ, doesn't it? Because I don't want anything really of the Warriors if Sean Johnson's not there. He's the reason they're where they are, in my opinion. I mean, along with helpers like Chance, but they definitely need SJ.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very tough. Even a pod player like Will Kennedy, he's exorbitantly expensive as well. So it just shows you these guys, when they go on runs, they'll make very quick cash. So you got to time it. Couple of podcast questions to finish up. Wrong soundbite. First one comes from Gaffbuzz. He asks, is Horsburgh a sell if you have less than 10 trades? And I think Corey Horsburgh is in keeper status. I mean, he's putting up 70 points for fun. He's got 2 RF front row forward duel. Yeah, he'll miss this week. He'll probably back up next week with limited minutes, but I think you probably have the depth at this point of the season to cover for some backing ups next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm selling a Gutho because he can go hundreds, and I'm selling a Cody because he's in a position where there's only 2 players to choose from, and he's a big piece. He's worth good value, and he's in a position where players can score high. So I don't know if I'd sort of be getting rid of a middle plotter like get rid of your plotters. You've got your premium like Tino or something, hold them, of course, because you don't want to lose them. I reckon in your seconds and your third on your bench, if they're just 50 to 60 plotters like Horsburgh, who's got a big, 75 or whatever in him, hold them, because who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah, exactly. That's the dilemma
in this round.
Dilemma that you face. Interesting on Cody Walker as well. Something I forgot to mention, that Latrell Mitchell is going to be back anytime soon. And unfortunately in Supercoach, you don't get two try assists for a play. I think Latrell's going to take a fair bit of attacking stats out of Cody as well. So definitely one to monitor there.
He's had a good year all year.
Oh, yeah, I just don't think he's going to have the heights of what he had, and if you can maximise it on someone. But this sort of leads into the next question that Zigdog asks. Who are the best 5'8s for the run home? Is Dylan Brown back on the cards? Now, 5'8's pretty dead unless your name's Cameron Munster. Cody Walker obviously is there, but you're going to have him miss 3 of the next 9 games. Joey Manu, yeah, you can plug a hole at your 5'8. I mean, Tom Dearden seems like a lot of money for a guy with not much...
5'8 fullback?
Yeah, Ponga 5'8 fullback. Dearden seems like a guy that's quite expensive for a guy with not a lot of Supercoach pedigree. So yeah, 5'8's weird. I mean, I think Cam Munster is a guy you're going to need for the run home. And then it comes down to, do you get Manu? Like, do you just have Manu there? Like, for example, me, if I sell Gutho this week, I've actually got no genuine fullbacks. It's just going to be Garrick and Meany that I'm going to rotate through there, and Asako. So, yeah, I mean, 5'8's, I'm not really too sure where I want to lie. I mean...
with Manu, like, if I had Manu as, just say you're doing a Garrick and you got like not really a pure fullback, you could get Drinkwater, you sell your 5'8 and then grab, via Manu a Drinkwater. And that's the thing. You can bring in these amazing,
so many good duels,
bring in a great fullback. Yeah. So you can get a Ponga if you could, because of Manu and his interesting sort of duel, you can bring someone down in your centers or your fullback if you've got others that you can move. So, I think you can, and you can go these combos where it could be Manu in your 6, or you could use him as a piece to bring in a gun fullback, which I think now with the emergence of like Drinkwater and with Latrell coming back, there's a few options you can go. So, do it.
Yeah, actually, I do like that at all. Yeah, so I think it's a case of probably same as fullback this year. I think it's a case of not having genuine 5'8s, but more having the duels that you can move around and swap in and out based off matchups. But
I've got Munster as well. I brought him in for his 30s.
Same. Yeah. Let's move into our tips, where Ado has gone 9 points clear. I think the title for the tipping comp is wrapped up this year, but I'm still going to be fighting on. I'm not going to be fighting on with the Tigers though, as they take on the Sharks. I'm going to take the Sharks, and I'm going to take them by a lot.
Yeah, me too. Lock it in.
The Milk up against the Dragons, who are in absolute turmoil.
I think the Raiders are on a bit of a, winning.
On a surge.
Yep, winning way.
Parramatta up against the Warriors. Now, obviously, if SJ plays, I'm going to be taking the Warriors here, but it's on game day. Adrianasaurus, and I think Sean Russell's playing fullback. So you got a spine of Sean Russell, Ryan Madison, Adrianasaurus, and Brendan Hands. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'll be probably tipping, the Eels. I think Paulo's a big in, but they've lost to RCG. I reckon the guys will, they'll go all right at Combank, I'd say. But yeah, if SJ's in, I'd probably lean towards the Wars. Can we just say that? Can we just say my tip if SJ plays is the Warriors?
Sure. The Bunnies, their reserve grade side, up against the Bulldogs, who just got absolutely dismantled. I'm actually finding this one really hard to tip.
The Dogs are so
they
bad.
Were, but have you seen the Rabbitohs team?
Yeah, and they've gone Avarillo at fullback, and I don't mind him in the fullback.
I think this Parham experiment's done.
Yep. Look, I don't know.
I took the Dogs last week. I'm going to take them again this week.
I don't know if I can do it. Who is South? Who are they going to have?
So their fullback, I think, obviously I'll plot the team list as we're chatting. But Blake Taff will be at fullback. I think Drew Hawkins is at 6, Ilias at 7, and at 9 is it Pete Mamazoulias? Let me have a look.
I'm going to say the Dogs, because if you're going out as a Dogs player, it's a bit like Christian Welsh. How the hell did the Knights not win today? You got to be able to beat South when they've taken basically what a fourth and
Grace Penguy's had. He played Origin for game 1. Now he's on the bench for the Bulldogs by game 3.
That's so TPJ. That feels very TPJ.
Yeah, Blake Wilson's named for the Bulldogs, so he's a really exciting prospect. But Toby Sexton's also been thrust straight into the Bulldogs team, which is huge. I'm going to take the Dogs in an upset, and the Titans up against the Finns. I'm going to take the Finns. Fins up, maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Fins. All right, well, I'll go South then. So we've got one different.
We have one different.
Got a bit of catch up. We'll let you catch up, and if you get a perfect week as well, maybe
we'll get 2. So I'll go 3 on you if I get a perfect week. Big if. But that has been the Dual Position Podcast. Not live this week, but I will. I'll try and upload this one as a preview, so you guys can still chat with each other in the live chat. And I'll be in there for the first little bit. Audio listeners, thank you for keeping on. But yeah, or keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you.
How many numbers are you going to have for this week?
If I make
3 trades,
if I make 3,
you're going to run out of trades.
I'll have
3 rounds.
I'll have 12 players this week if I make 3, but that 12 includes AJ with no Cody or Latrell, and it also includes Ben Murdoch-Masila, which is.
Yeah, I got Ben Murdoch. And Mawali, is he in there on the bench?
Probably somewhere.
Yeah,
somewhere
those
there.
aren't 3 pieces. That's like
one
between all of them. Yeah. I mean, isn't that such a sad thing holding AJ? Let's just have our fingers crossed, that something happens.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have, with my 2 trades, I'll probably have 13 active.
Handy.
Well,
Handy. Yeah. My goal right now is just to solidify my spot in Supercoach and Fantasy. I think Fantasy, we're still top 500, and Supercoach, we're top 1,000.
I don't even do it.
I know you gave up. You gave up. It was a...
Yeah, I was in. Because I kept forgetting it, and I'd have all these locked that you can't change your captain.
No, it's much harder. It is much harder.
Yeah, I've never been. I played it every year pretty much, but I don't think I've ever completed a year in it. I just don't like it as much as Supercoach. But maybe next year I'll make a big effort to do it.
Yeah,
properly.
well, last year
it has a different feel to it.
Last year was my first year of playing, and somehow managed to fluke a 200th. And this year we're top 500. So maybe I just give up. I mean, I'm probably going to I'm taking a step back from Supercoach content next year, as people know. Maybe I'll just take up Fantasy full time. Yeah,
do the Fantasy. Someone else is.
I know someone's taking the Fantasy Whisperer on Twitter, so good on them.
Someone's the Fantasy Whisperer.
Absolutely. But thanks so much for listening, and we will see you on the other side next week. Goodbye.